What's your reaction to hearing Andrei bragging that he was giving you an ultimatum? I just think it's a little disrespectful towards me. But at any rate, it would be the other way around because at this point I told him, if you want to go, go. I'm not going. So that's your ultimatum. If you want to play that game, I can play that game, too, because it's not happening. Andrei, it seems like she's made up her mind. In this relationship, I'm wearing the pants if you haven't noticed. Wait, go wear him in Moldova. Well, certainly I will. Andrei files for divorce from Elizabeth live on stage, sending her into a panic attack. But that's not all. Joy's secret about divorcing Yara is exposed, and she breaks down in tears. Chaos, drama, and heartbreak. You won't believe what happens next. The stage was set, lights shining harshly on the cast, cameras rolling, and fans across the globe bracing themselves for what should have been a standard tell-all episode. But from the moment Season 9, Episode 22 of 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After, Tell-All Part 4 began, it became clear that tonight would not be just another recap of drama. It would be history in the making. A seismic event that would rattle the franchise to its very core. Andrei K. Stervet, long portrayed as the calm, calculating figure in the Castrovet podcast saga, was about to unleash a revelation so shocking that it left everyone frozen in disbelief. The first hint of tension appeared when Andrei's gaze lingered on Elizabeth Pott longer than usual. His jaw tightened, his hands gripped the chair in front of him, and even the crew sensed the storm brewing. Cameras cut to Elizabeth, who was smiling nervously, trying to maintain composure, unaware that her world was about to be completely upended. Andrei's words, when they finally came, were cold, deliberate, and calculated. I am filing for divorce. The statement landed like a bomb. For a moment, the studio seemed to fall silent. Elizabeth's eyes widened in utter shock, her lips trembling, her body stiffening as if frozen in time. The words were more than just a divorce announcement. They were a public execution of trust, a calculated emotional strike designed to leave maximum impact not only on Elizabeth, but on everyone present. The cameras caught every micro-expression, from the subtle widening of Elizabeth's eyes to the small intake of breath that would precede the panic that followed. Elizabeth's reaction was immediate and visceral. Her smile dissolved into terror, her hands instinctively clutching her chest as her pulse spiked. She took a few staggering steps backward, nearly losing her balance. Producers rushed to her side, but the cameras captured it all, the raw, unfiltered human response to being blindsided on live television. Within seconds, Elizabeth's panic attack escalated. She fled backstage, her sobs echoing down the corridor as Andrei remained on stage unfazed, his gaze fixed, delivering his statement as though rehearsed for months. Backstage, the scene was described by insiders as nothing short of a full-blown emotional collapse. Elizabeth was reportedly shaking uncontrollably, repeating that she didn't know this was coming and felt completely blindsided. The medical team was called in briefly, though sources say the moment passed on when she was able to regain control of her breathing. Even so, the psychological and emotional toll was already done. The marriage had been publicly exposed as irreparably fractured, and Elizabeth's humiliation was broadcast to millions. On stage, chaos erupted almost immediately. Fellow cast members shouted over each other. Some questioning Andrei's motives, others trying to defend Elizabeth, and a few appearing completely dumbfounded by the sheer audacity of the announcement. Andrei, however, remained stone-faced. He delivered a chilling monologue outlining years of grievances, emotional manipulation, interference from Elizabeth's family, and what he described as constant disrespect that could no longer be ignored. His words were sharp, pointed, and unapologetic. A calculated mixture of accusation and revelation designed to assert his narrative as the dominant truth. Even the tell-all host, known for maintaining composure amidst the franchise's most explosive moments, struggled to regain order. Cameras captured cast members gesturing wildly, voices overlapping in a chaotic cacophony that left viewers across social media stunned. The empty chair where Elizabeth should have been seated became a haunting visual, a stark reminder of the devastation that Andrei's announcement had unleashed. Social media erupted almost instantly with fans describing the scene as heartbreaking, unprecedented, and the most shocking tell-all moment in franchise history. While the public digested the divorce bomb, Andrew pressed on, revealing additional details about the unraveling of their marriage. He claimed that the relationship had been deteriorating for months behind closed doors, painting a picture of constant arguments, misunderstandings, and emotional distance. He alleged that Elizabeth's family had played a direct role in worsening the tension, manipulating events in ways he could no longer tolerate. As he spoke, some cast members nodded in agreement, others shook their heads, and a few openly criticized the decision to make such an announcement in front of millions. The emotional fallout was immediate and intense. Elizabeth's absence created a vacuum that left the cast scrambling to fill the tension. Questions flew at Andrei, some pointed and accusatory, others trembling with disbelief. Viewers could sense the palpable fear in the studio. The kind of fear that stems from witnessing a relationship disintegrate in real time. With no filters, no edits, no safe space. The tell-all had become something far beyond a recap. It was a live unmasking, a human drama stripped bare, exposing vulnerabilities that were previously hidden from public view. As the episode progressed, Andrei's revelation about the divorce became a catalyst for renewed arguments, grudges, and confrontations. Old wounds reopened, alliances shifted, and the stage itself became a battleground for unresolved grievances. Several cast members openly accused Andrei of cruelty, calling out the timing and manner of the announcement. Others suggested that he was simply telling the truth and forcing everyone to confront realities that had been simmering beneath the surface all season. The moral ambiguity of the moment left the audience divided. Some supported Andrei's honesty, others condemned the public spectacle of Elizabeth's suffering. At the heart of it all was Elizabeth's emotional trauma. Backstage, sources reported that she repeatedly questioned how Andrei could do this on television and whether he had any consideration for her emotional well-being. Her panic attack, though brief, was emblematic of a deeper emotional fracture, a combination of fear, betrayal, and public humiliation that left her shaken long after cameras stopped rolling. Producers reportedly attempted to mediate, but Andrei refused to soften his stance, maintaining that the truth needed to be laid bare, no matter the collateral damage. Just as viewers were struggling to process the seismic shock of Andrew filing for divorce from Elizabeth, the tell-all stage erupted into yet another layer of chaos, one that no fan could have predicted. With the camera still, capturing every flinch, gasp, and trembling hand from the Castrovet Podest saga, Andrew delivered a second bombshell that redirected the spotlight. He claimed that Jovi had confided in him privately that he wanted to divorce Yara. The room froze for a split second. Even the crew seemed to hold their breath. Joy's expression hardened instantly, jaw tight, eyes narrowing as the accusation sliced through the studio like a razor. He immediately denied the claim, raising his voice over murmurs and shifting eyes, insisting that Andrei was fabricating the story to deflect attention from his own crumbling marriage. But the damage was already done. The suggestion of divorce, whispered into the room with authority, was enough to unravel years of carefully curated appearances. Yara's reaction was instantaneous and devastating. Her eyes, wide and brimming with tears, reflected shock, confusion, and a fear that had been simmering quietly beneath the surface for months. She didn't speak at first. She just stood frozen, as though her body was trying to process betrayal before her mind could. Slowly, her shoulders slumped, and then the sobs began, first small, almost imperceptible, and then growing into a full, uncontrollable breakdown. In an emotional flood rarely seen on a tell-all stage, Yara revealed vulnerabilities that few viewers had ever witnessed. She admitted to living under constant anxiety about her worthiness in her marriage. Her voice cracked as she confessed fears of not being thin enough, pretty enough, or fun enough for Joy. "Sometimes I feel like I'm raising a child alone while being married to someone who doesn't see me," she said, tears streaming down her face. The room, previously chaotic with arguments and accusations, fell silent in stunned awe at the raw honesty of her pain. This wasn't just a relationship under strain. This was a woman publicly grappling with emotional isolation, insecurity, and fear of rejection. Joy attempted to regain control of the narrative, visibly frustrated and defensive. "I never said that," he insisted, gesturing toward Andrei. "This is a lie. I would never say such a thing." Yet his words seemed hollow against the torrent of emotion unfolding before him. The cameras lingered on Yara's face, capturing the subtle tremble of her lips, the quiver in her hands, and the way her eyes darted, searching for reassurance that would not come. Meanwhile, other cast members watched in a mix of horror and disbelief. Some quietly consoled Yara, placing hands on her shoulders, while others whispered amongst themselves, speculating on the veracity of Andrei's claim. The tension on stage became almost unbearable. A high-wire act of emotions teetering between anger, sorrow, and raw vulnerability. Even the host, typically composed and in control, seemed momentarily at a loss as the layers of drama intertwined: a divorce announcement followed by allegations of another imminent split, all within minutes of LA television. The emotional weight of the moment was compounded by Yara's own self-reflections. She admitted that she had long questioned her marriage, but hearing a suggestion of divorce up from someone other than her husband was a profound blow. "I don't know if he even loves me anymore," she said through sobs. "I try so hard, but it feels like nothing is enough." Fans watching live were quick to empathize, flooding social media with messages of support and heartbreak. Memes, fan theories, and emotional comment threads erupted, each trying to process the unparalleled intensity of the moment. While Yara's breakdown was the emotional core of this segment, the surrounding chaos continued to escalate. Jovi, increasingly frustrated, tried to defend his actions and reassure Yara. But every explanation seemed to fan the flames rather than extinguish them. Cast members took sides, some aligning with Yara, others quietly critiquing her for publicly displaying vulnerability, turning the tell-all into a battlefield of loyalty, skepticism, and raw emotion. The episode's narrative pivoted seamlessly into what insiders described as a cascade of confessions. Cast members who had remained in the shadows suddenly spoke up, revealing private grievances, historical conflicts, and long-simmering tensions. Each new revelation added to the mounting pressure on Jovi and Yara, who were already at the epicenter of the emotional storm. The juxtaposition of Andrei's divorce announcement with the alleged fracture of another marriage created a combustible atmosphere, leaving the audience gripping their screens, unwilling to look away despite the intensity of the content. Even backstage, the fallout was palpable. Crew members whispered about the unprecedented level of distress, noting that production had to halt multiple times to check on Yara, who was inconsolable at points. Makeup artists, wardrobe assistants, and producers scrambled to maintain composure and continuity as the camera continued to roll. What unfolded was not scripted, not curated. It was real, raw, and terrifyingly human. Throughout it all, Andrei maintained a chilling detachment. His calmness in the face of chaos added a surreal edge to the episode. While Elizabeth had fled backstage earlier, Andrei remained on stage, presenting himself as a man resolute in his narrative, unshaken by the emotional devastation around him. His calculated exposure of Joy and Yara's alleged marital turmoil further fueled speculation, leading fans to wonder if his intentions were purely truth-telling or whether there was an element of strategic manipulation at play. The episode's intensity reached fever pitch when Yara, still in tears, confronted Joy directly. She demanded honesty, clarity, and reassurance, questioning every facet of their relationship. Joy struggled to articulate a coherent defense. Caught between denying Andrei's claims and attempting to console a partner in visible distress. The cameras captured every quiver, every falter, every tear, creating a visual narrative as devastating as any fictional drama. Social media's reaction was instantaneous. Clips of Yara sobbing went viral within minutes, with fans expressing shock, empathy, and disbelief. Threads analyzing every word, gesture, and glance emerged, turning the tell-all into a global conversation about marital honesty, emotional trauma, and the consequences of public airing of private conflicts. Hashtags like #HasHarBreakdown, #TellChaos, and #AndreiBomb exploded across platforms, amplifying the intensity far beyond the studio walls. By the conclusion of this segment, the emotional temperature on stage remained dangerously high. Yara's vulnerability, combined with Joy's defensive posture, created an unresolved tension that left viewers hanging on the edge of their seats. The alleged threat of divorce loomed over the couple like a dark cloud while the surrounding cast members struggled to maintain composure amidst a flurry of accusations, confessions, and raw emotional exposure. The stage, once a controlled environment for recap and reflection, had transformed into a theater of unfiltered human emotion, a high-stakes battlefield in which relationships, reputations, and self-worth were all at risk. For fans and cast alike, there was no turning back. The tell-all had revealed not just the fragility of marriage under public scrutiny, but the devastating human cost when secrets, insecurities, and interpersonal conflicts collide on live television. As the cameras continued rolling, the atmosphere on set grew increasingly tense. By this point, what had begun as a recapping of the season's drama had evolved into an emotional catastrophe that producers themselves later admitted was unlike anything they had ever witnessed. Elizabeth remained backstage, still visibly shaken from Andrei's public announcement of divorce, while Yara and Joy confronted the alleged revelation of marital trouble. Tears and tension simmering like a volcano ready to erupt. The tell-all stage, usually a controlled environment for discussion and reflection, had become a theater of raw, unfiltered human emotion. Backstage, crew members reported a scene of organized chaos. Makeup artists tried to soothe tear-streaked faces. Production assistants whispered reassurances and security monitored the perimeter to ensure no one lost control entirely. Elizabeth's panic attack, though brief, had left her emotionally exhausted, and sources indicate that she refused to return to the stage until Andrei's segment was completed. Production halted multiple times, a rare and dramatic intervention that emphasized just how volatile the situation had become. This was not scripted television. It was human vulnerability on full display, and nothing could contain it. Andrei, meanwhile, remained steadfast and unapologetic. On stage, he reiterated the reasons behind his divorce filing, citing emotional neglect, family interference, and irreconcilable differences. He refused to soften his language, even as the host attempted to mediate the juxtaposition of Elizabeth's absence and Andrei's unwavering stance created a surreal tension, leaving viewers both horrified and riveted. Every camera angle emphasized the emptiness of her chair, a stark visual metaphor for the crumbling relationship, and the emotional fallout now enveloping the studio. Yara and Joy's storyline continued to dominate attention. Yara, still emotionally fragile, expressed deep doubts about her future, questioning whether the marriage could survive both public scrutiny and private insecurities. She tearfully admitted feeling unappreciated, isolated, and emotionally unsupported, exposing scars that had festered long before the cameras began rolling. Joy's attempts to defend himself often fell flat, with his explanations sometimes sounding rehearsed, sometimes defensive, and occasionally adding to the tension rather than alleviating it. The audience witnessed the delicate and painful unraveling of trust in real time, a spectacle as tragic as it was compelling. Meanwhile, other cast members and guests on the stage reacted in ways that only magnified the drama. Some voiced sympathy for Elizabeth and Yara, offering quiet support, while others criticized Andrei for his method of disclosure. Allegiances shifted constantly. Arguments erupted spontaneously and the energy in the studio became electric, unpredictable, and dangerously volatile. Even the host, trained to remain neutral and composed, struggled to regain control as the narrative spiraled further out of control. Social media erupted almost instantly. Fans flooded platforms with reaction clips, memes, and commentary. The hashtags #AndreiDivorceBomb, #YaraBreakdown, and #TellChaos trended worldwide within hours. Viewers dissected every word, every facial expression, and every gesture, debating the motives, the truthfulness, and the morality of the actions captured on screen. Some fans expressed outrage over the public nature of the revelations, while others praised the raw honesty and transparency displayed by the cast. The tell-all episode became an event beyond the studio walls, a cultural moment that transcended typical reality TV discussions. Backstage reports revealed another layer of tension. Producers admitted they had never prepared for an episode to escalate to this degree. Multiple meetings occurred during filming. Pauses were extended and staff monitored both emotional and physical well-being of the cast. Sources describe a surreal environment where real emotions collided with the need to continue production, forcing everyone involved to balance empathy, safety, and storytelling. The unfolding chaos highlighted the delicate dynamics between authenticity and performance in reality television. By the end of the episode, the impact of the tell-all was clear. Andrei and Elizabeth's marriage appeared irreparably fractured. Yara and Joy's relationship was enveloped in uncertainty. And the rest of the cast was left navigating a complex web of loyalty, empathy, and shock. The consequences of the episode extended far beyond the studio's social media. Debates raged. Fan theories proliferated, and countless viewers began questioning what they thought they knew about the couples. Critics and insiders alike began calling this the most explosive tell-all in franchise history. It wasn't just a recap. It was an emotional earthquake. Lives were laid bare, secrets exposed, and relationships tested in ways that few could have anticipated. While the cameras eventually stopped rolling, the aftershocks continued with fans, cast, and media outlets dissecting every moment. In the weeks following, the episode continued to dominate discussions, creating an enduring narrative about honesty, vulnerability, and the unpredictable consequences of public scrutiny. The tell-all's long-term ramifications are still unfolding. Elizabeth and Andrei's divorce filing will dominate headlines for weeks. While Jovi and Yara must confront the challenges of trust, emotional wounds, and speculation about their future, the episode has left the franchise forever changed. A stark reminder that reality television at its most intense is not just entertainment, but a mirror reflecting the fragile, raw, and often heartbreaking realities of human relationships. In the end, Tell All Part 4 did more than entertain it. Expose the raw underbelly of love, marriage, and human vulnerability, creating an unforgettable chapter in the 90-Day Fiancé legacy. Relationships were tested, emotions exploded, and fans were left on the edge of their seats, witnessing a level of honesty and devastation that may never be matched in reality TV history. This was more than a season finale. It was an emotional event of monumental proportions, an episode that will be analyzed, discussed, and remembered for years to come. The 90-Day Fiancé universe has just witnessed one of its most explosive and heartbreaking feuds yet, and fans are still reeling from the shocking revelations. Lauren, once seen as the loyal and protective best friend, has publicly declared that her friendship with Elizabeth is over. And the reason is far darker than anyone imagined. In an exclusive and jaw-dropping confession, Lauren accused Elizabeth of gaslighting her, betraying her trust, and manipulating everyone around them. What was once considered a tight-knit friendship has crumbled in a way that is shocking, painful, and impossible to ignore. It all started innocently, or so it seemed. Lauren and Elizabeth had long been portrayed as inseparable besties, sharing secrets, inside jokes, and heartfelt moments that made viewers believe their bond was unbreakable. Fans often admired the duo for their loyalty to each other, their shared humor, and the undeniable chemistry that made their friendship one of the highlights of the series. But behind closed doors, the cracks were forming slowly, subtly until they eventually exploded into a full-blown scandal that has left the 90-Day Fiancé world buzzing. According to Lauren, the turning point came when Elizabeth betrayed her most private confidences. Secrets that Lauren had trusted her best friend with were suddenly revealed to Alexei. And before long, others like Yara and Joy also knew details that were never meant to leave their private circle. Lauren described feeling devastated and blindsided by this betrayal. She never expected the person she trusted the most to weaponize her own words, turning her confidences into gossip that spread like wildfire. The hurt ran deep, and fans could feel the intensity of Lauren's frustration as she recounted the events. The drama didn't stop there. The feud intensified when Yara inadvertently shared one of Andrei's secrets with Libby, and Elizabeth reportedly twisted the situation, framing Lauren in a negative light. Lauren claims that Elizabeth gaslighted Yara by suggesting that Lauren had been mocking her appearance and style choices, a claim that Lauren strongly denies. The alleged manipulation not only deepened the rift between Lauren and Elizabeth, but also added a layer of chaos that affected their broader circle of friends and allies. Suddenly, what started as a personal betrayal became a tangled web of deception, manipulation, and emotional turmoil that threatened to destroy everything Lauren had valued in her friendship with Elizabeth. The situation reached its boiling point during the tell-all segment of the season, an episode that fans are already calling one of the most dramatic moments in 90 Day Fiancé history. Emotions ran high, voices were raised, and tempers flared as Lauren shouted, "Shut up," at Elizabeth in a moment of raw, unfiltered anger. Viewers were shocked not only by the intensity of the confrontation, but also by the way both women revealed private grievances that had been simmering for months. Lauren admitted she was pissed at Elizabeth, calling her behavior hypocritical and accusing her of twisting words and gaslighting her in ways that made reconciliation impossible. Outside of the show, the feud has spilled over into social media, where both Lauren and Elizabeth have unfollowed each other and posted subtle but unmistakable messages aimed at each other. Lauren even revealed that she had sold one of Elizabeth's gifts, a symbolic act that signaled the definitive end of their friendship. While Lauren claims she remains friends with Yara, she made it abundantly clear that there is no chance of her reconnecting with Elizabeth. The message was blunt, painful, and unambiguous. Once trust is broken, there is no going back. Fans have reacted with a mix of shock, disbelief, and fascination. Some viewers feel Lauren's heartbreak is genuine, sympathizing with her anger and disappointment at being betrayed by someone she trusted implicitly. Others speculate that the feud may be at least partially fueled by camera drama, with both women using the conflict to maintain relevance and screen time in the competitive world of reality TV. Regardless of the motivations, the intensity of the fallout has captured the attention of fans who are now closely analyzing every interaction between Lauren and Elizabeth, looking for clues about what really went wrong. This controversy has also reignited debates about the nature of friendships on reality television. How much of what viewers see is authentic and how much is shaped by the cameras, producers, and the pressure to create dramatic storylines? Lauren's revelations offer a rare behind-the-scenes glimpse into the fragility of trust and the pain of betrayal in a world where personal relationships are constantly under scrutiny. Her candid and unfiltered confessions provide a chilling reminder that even the closest bonds can unravel when deceit and manipulation enter the picture. After her messy breakup with Josh, Natalie from 90 Day Fiancé is back, but fans won't recognize her. She's had a dramatic nose job. Insiders say she's spiraling into cosmetic obsession and a mysterious new man may be fueling the chaos. What's really happening behind the scenes? You won't believe the shocking details we uncovered. When Natalie Muffs first appeared on 90 Day Fiancé, she was marketed as eccentric, emotional, and undeniably intense. Over the years, viewers watched her cry, rage, pray, demand love, and chase commitment with a desperation that often felt raw and uncomfortable. But nothing prepared fans or even those closest to her for the transformation that would follow her final breakup with Josh Weinstein. What was supposed to be a quiet post-breakup reset has instead erupted into one of the most unsettling off-screen evolutions in the franchise's recent history. One that insiders say is far darker than what cameras have captured so far. Natalie's split from Josh marked more than the end of another failed relationship. According to multiple sources familiar with the situation, it shattered the last illusion Natalie had been clinging to, the belief that if she just tried harder, changed more, or compromised herself further, the man in her life would eventually choose her. Josh didn't. He walked away with finality. And for Natalie, that rejection landed like a verdict on her worth. Friends say she didn't just lose a boyfriend. She lost the narrative she had built in her head about her future, her redemption arc, and her proof that she wasn't the problem. In the weeks following the breakup, Natalie reportedly withdrew from many people in her inner circle. Texts went unanswered. Calls were ignored. Social media activity became erratic bursts of inspirational quotes followed by long silences. Those who reached her describe a woman oscillating between calm determination and emotional volatility. It was during this period, insiders claim, that Natalie became fixated on the idea of physical reinvention. Not as a casual thought, but as a solution, a reset button, a way to reclaim control when everything else felt like it had slipped through her fingers. By the time 90 Day Diaries cameras caught up with her, Natalie was ready to present her decision to the world. She was getting a nose job. On screen, she framed it as self-improvement, a step toward confidence, a long-held insecurity finally being addressed. She described her nose using harsh language, calling it witchy, a word that instantly alarmed fans and critics alike. But behind the scenes, the motivation was far more complicated and far more troubling. According to a source close to